So we've looked at how to add slides, how to modify, change, add content, modify content. There are several other options. So if you choose the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, those are more options you have. Again, collaborate with others or Keynote Live. Those things you do need to have your iCloud account put in there, your Apple ID. So keep in mind that those may not be there also if you haven't had an updated version of Keynote. So I can send a copy of this, which we will look at sharing and saving in the next video, but I can send a copy from directly where I am. I can print if I need to. I can look at my transitions and my builds, and I can actually go directly to transitions and builds from there. So instead of having to highlight and do transition, I can go to more and do transitions and builds. I can find information in any of my slides. I can add presenter notes. So if you're going to be presenting, remember, and you want to add some notes to your slides just like you would in Google Slides or just like you would in PowerPoint, you can do that. You can also allow remote control. So if you enable a remote, you can use a separate iOS device to control the presentation on your iPad. So if you have an iPhone and you're in the classroom, your iPad is connected and presenting a keynote, you could do it that way as well. Or if you have another iPad, you could use that. You can rehearse your slideshow if you would like. So it will begin the slideshow. It will allow you to do things such as presentation tools, so you can draw on it. You can grab your laser pointer and point to different locations. You can go to your different slides. So it really allows you to practice and present while you're in this mode, and then you push the X and you're immediately back to where you were. It's a pretty nice feature to have in there. You can also change the presentation type. So this is where you would choose if you want this presentation to loop. Let's say you have an open house coming up, or your students have done a lot of great work and you want it to show and you want to put it out there for someone coming through. You can loop the presentation. You can make it self-playing. You can then do your transitions and your build delays, so you can really get in and make it exactly what you want. If you loop the presentation, it will loop until you stop it. So just keep that in mind if you set that up. You can add from a soundtrack. So if you want to add a soundtrack, it has to be one, if it's coming from iTunes, that you own, or it can be one that you put into iTunes that you create in GarageBand or your students create in GarageBand, and is a very nice way to add a little bit of extra to your Keynote. So if you choose that, you'll see if I choose audio, it is going to have me open anything I have in iTunes, which I currently don't, so I wouldn't have anything that I could use. You can change some of these settings for the slides itself. You can change the author name. Now you can password lock this presentation, and that really can be helpful, especially if you have something of vital importance that you want to put in here, but you maybe your students are using your iPad and you don't want them to open your presentation, you can lock that there if you would like. You can also go to help at any time that you need, and it is going to open up the help options. You can search for things, you can look for things. It's a very nice way to go about finding an answer if you don't have one. And the other thing you can do, of course, is send feedback. So those are just some additional options you have for Keynote on iOS as you work your way through and learn how to use this great tool.